You know that feeling when you're about to share something you've created and suddenly your heart starts racing? Your palms get sweaty and this little voice in your head whispers, "Who do you think you are? You're not good enough for this." If you're nodding your head right now, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not a fraud. What you're experiencing has a name. That feeling, it's called Imposter Syndrome. And it's been messing with our heads and holding us back for far too long. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Tarra. I'm an abstract artist and holistic teacher. Here I talk about art, entrepreneurship, personal development, and wellness. Today I wanted to talk about something that's been on my mind a lot lately: imposter syndrome. This sneaky little gremlin has been affecting me throughout my life, and I bet it's been messing with you too, whether you're an artist or not. I've always had this feeling like I don't belong and carried this sense of being a fraud. Even as an honor student in both high school and college, I felt like my academic success was a fluke, like someone would expose me someday. This feeling stuck with me through my corporate career and even now as an artist and creative entrepreneur. Let's talk facts for a second. Study shows that up to 70% of people experience imposter syndrome at some point in their lives. It hits high-achieving women the hardest, especially women of color. Artists are also more vulnerable to it. The more accomplished you are, the more likely you are to feel like a fraud. When you think about it, it makes sense. We've been told, consciously or subconsciously, that we don't belong in certain spaces, that we're not good enough. This phenomenon is also created by the environment around us through lack of representation and systems of oppression. High-achieving women and artists also face unique pressures. We're constantly putting our work out there for judgment, and societal expectations can make us feel like we need to be perfect all the time. This creates a perfect breeding ground for imposter syndrome. As a woman of color and an artist, imposter syndrome has hit me hard. I set very high expectations for myself, and I'm a perfectionist. I see this with my coaching clients too. They often spend a lot of time researching and planning, avoiding trying new things altogether from fear of making a mistake or failing. Now, I'm not gonna lie and say I've completely conquered imposter syndrome. It still pops up, especially when I'm putting my art out there or offering my services. But what I've learned is how to push through it. Let me share an analogy with you. So imagine you're a tree. Your talents, your skills, your experiences, they're your roots. They run deep, they're strong, they're what make you who you are. But imposter syndrome, it's like this annoying weed that keeps trying to choke you out. It makes you forget how strong your roots are. Our job is to be the gardener. We need to tend to our roots, nourish them. And yeah, sometimes we gotta pull out the weeds of self-doubt. Now that we understand what imposter syndrome is and how it affects us, let's talk about some practical ways to overcome it. These exercises made a real difference both for me and my clients. They've been key in helping us push past self-doubt and build genuine confidence. Okay, so take out a piece of paper and write down every single achievement you can think of. Big or small, it doesn't matter. Did you finish a painting? Write it down. Did you get a nice comment on your work? Write it down. Did you simply show up and create something today? Write that down too. This exercise is all about reminding yourself of your roots. It's easy to forget how far we've come, but when you see it all written out, it's pretty hard to deny your own growth. Okay, so this one is a bit wild, but trust me, it works. Next time that imposter voice pops up, you want to actually talk to it. Ask it questions like, what evidence do you have that I'm a fraud? Or, what would it take for you to believe I'm capable? You'll be surprised how quickly that voice starts to stutter when you challenge it. It's like shining a light on the gremlin under the bed. Suddenly, it doesn't seem so scary anymore. Now, one thing that's been crucial for me is working on self-worth, because when you feel unworthy, you've already put yourself out of the game. You're telling yourself, I don't deserve this, before you've even tried. Think of self-worth like a muscle. The more you work it, the stronger it gets. Every time you acknowledge your skills, every time you celebrate a win, every time you stand up for yourself, you're doing a rep for your self-worth. Overcoming imposter syndrome isn't always easy to do alone. That's why I offer one-on-one coaching sessions for artists who are feeling stuck. Whether you need help with the foundation of your art business, starting your YouTube channel, and need help with overcoming imposter syndrome, I'm here to support you because we don't have to go through this alone. My coaching offers a space to connect, grow, and support each other as we push past self-doubt together. So if you're ready to push past your self-doubt and step into your full potential as an artist, check out the link in the description to book a session. Let's talk about something that's been a game changer for me: journaling. When those negative thoughts start racing, I sit down and write them out. I go into what I call observer mode. I ask myself, okay, what triggered this? Where are these thoughts coming from? And you know what? Once you start breaking it down, you realize how irrational these thoughts are. It's like, girl, you've got degrees, you've got awards, you've got experience, you belong here. Okay, so here's a fun one. Write down 3 negative thoughts you have about yourself or your work. Now, I want you to reframe each one into a positive. For example, if you wrote, "I'm not a real artist," reframe it to, "I'm constantly growing and improving as an artist." Do this regularly and you'll start to rewire your brain to focus on the positive. I've been networking and talking to a lot of artists, especially women, and one of the things I've noticed is that this idea of imposter syndrome is so heavily ingrained that we feel like we don't belong in certain spaces. But let me tell you something, we do. Our voices, our art, our perspectives, they're not just valuable, they're essential. The world needs what we have to offer. There's this concept in ecology called biodiversity. It's the idea that an ecosystem is healthiest when it has a wide variety of species. Well, I think the same is true for art and culture. We need diversity in our creative spaces. Your unique voice shaped by your experiences and heritage, that's what makes the artistic ecosystem thrive. Here's the thing about imposter syndrome. It's not just affecting you. It's also affecting the people who could benefit from your gifts. When you hold back because you feel like a fraud, you're denying the world your unique contribution. So the next time that little voice tells you you're not good enough, I want you to say, "Watch me." Turn that self-doubt into fuel. Use it to push yourself harder and prove that imposter syndrome wrong. I like to call it the Gremlin. Write a letter to your future self, the one who's conquered imposter syndrome. What would they say to you right now? What advice would they give you? This exercise helps you tap into your own wisdom and reminds you of your potential. Remember, the fact that you're worried about being an imposter is often a sign that you're not one. Real frauds don't worry about being frauds. They just know they are. Our brains sometimes play this twisted game where the more we achieve, the more we doubt ourselves. But here's how I look at it now. If I'm feeling like an imposter, it probably means I'm growing and trying new things. And that's exactly what we should be doing as artists, because you're worthy. You belong here. You're meant to take up space in the art community, and the world needs what you have to offer. So don't be afraid to share your gifts, and don't let anyone, especially that voice in your head, tell you otherwise. Imposter syndrome is like that inner critic we all have. It's not there to stop you. It's there to challenge you. So take that challenge and use it to fuel your growth. As you work on overcoming imposter syndrome, you'll likely find that not only does your confidence grow, but your art evolves too. When you're not held back by self-doubt, you're free to take creative risks and push boundaries in your work. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. Leave a comment sharing your experiences with imposter syndrome, because we have to work collectively to overcome it and lift each other up. Every time you push past that imposter feeling, you're not just growing as an artist, you're also inspiring others to do the same. If this resonates with you and you're looking for guidance, feel free to check out the link in the description box below to learn more about working with me, because you don't have to face imposter syndrome alone. Don't let self-doubt hold you back any longer. Keep creating, keep pushing, And remember, you are the real deal. I'll see you next time.